Okay, I just wanted to illustrate in this video how to get the chart, in for question number 4 of assignment 1, because I think a few of you had a few issues with this. Now, I've got my data here, 2 variables, gender and dog breed. The gender happens to be in 2 different columns, and the dog breed is in rows with my table in this format right here. I've included the total, which sometimes I'll use and sometimes I won't. And over here I got the table the reverse way, in that the columns represent breeds and the rows represent gender of the respondent. I can use either table. If you're going to generate a bar chart, you can use whichever one of these you like. If you're going to generate pie charts, for one graph you may have to use this table, and for another set of graphs you may have to use this. So let's just have a look at how this works. The simplest to me is the bar chart, but that's entirely up to you. Alright, bar charts, our data are in here as a table, and we need a two-way table because we've got rows and we've got columns. We can have the chart represented as clusters of bars or stacked bars. Let's do this one first. Cluster, say OK. And if I use the table that I have over here on the left, the numbers, which is what Minitab is looking for here, graph variables wants to know where are the numbers. I'm going to give it male, female. I am not bothering with the total. Alright, row labels represent dog breed, and how your chart gets displayed depends on whether you take columns outermost or rows outermost. I'll do it both ways. Alright, we want to show these data as a percentage, as a relative frequency percent. So let me just go back there. I hit chart options, show Y as a percent. And in the first part of that question, I think you were asked to get the joint distribution, which means take all the numbers in the table and divide them by the total number of people who were surveyed, which, according to what I got down here, was 153. So I want to take percentage across all categories. Say OK to that and OK again. And this chart represents the joint distribution, looking at both male and female together and looking at dog breed. Now, it says down here that it calculated the percent within all the data. In other words, all the numbers were divided by the total number of people who were surveyed. This y-axis, by the way, you should change so that it reflects percent. Say OK. And this table should, or this chart should represent 100% of my data. So if I add up the height of this bar right here, which is 11.7, and the height of the next bar, which is 7.8, etc., 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 in order to get 100%, I have to add up the heights of all of these bars. Usually, by the way, for comparative purposes, sometimes we would like to color the bars according to a particular variable. In this case, I'd probably want to do it according to dog breed. So I've highlighted one of them, right-click on my mouse, edit my bars, specify how I want to color up the groups, and in this case, I want to color it according to dog breed. And this x-axis, by the way, already shows me the names of the dog breeds. So I could conceivably just take that thing out. Now I just highlighted it, and on my keyboard I hit the delete key. So this does the joint distribution of both of these variables. Alright, now there's that one. If I went in and did this one again and left everything the same except I said rows are outermost, then my graph is going to be displayed not in terms of groups according to male and female, which is on the outside on this one. This time I'm saying put the dog breeds on the outside. Either way, these charts tell me the same thing. These percentages, if I mouse over Yorkshire Terriers here and females, come on, tells me that's 11.7%. And if I do Yorkshire Terriers over here and female, yeah, it tells me it's 11.7. So it's just a different way of displaying your data. So both of these show the joint distributions. All right, now to get the conditional distributions, the only thing really I need to change is the fact that I want to take the percent within a particular category. And it says it's going to take it within the outermost category. Okay, to that. And what's outermost in this thing I've chosen right here? Outermost is rows. And what is rows in the table I chose over here? It's dog breed. So if I say OK to this, I get this chart right here. And this chart now is the distribution of gender conditional on the dog breed. And again, this says data and should say percent. And down here, Minitab tells me it calculated the percents within levels of dog breed. So I look at my Yorkshire Terriers, okay. For male and females who preferred Yorkshire Terriers, I get 55 for the females, 45, or roughly 45% for the males. Collectively, these two bars give me 100%. This is only showing me the distribution for Yorkshire Terriers. Then this one here, you're kind of looking at subpopulations. Here's a subpopulation of Dachshunds and Golden Retrievers, etc. Each block of bars is totaling to 100%. If you want to color these according to male and female, highlight one, right-click on your mouse. And for groups, now, when you're asking Minitab to color it according to a variable, in this box right here, Minitab's expecting categorical variables, which in our case, the way that the data are arranged, dog breed in column C1, well, that's categorical or text data. My male and female, which also is a categorical variable, but I had to assign some numbers to it. These data are in here in column C2 and C3. They're numerical. Minitab calls those variables. So if I want to color it according to the male and female, I click in this box. Say OK, and here's my graph. And I don't need to have that. That's gone. Now this one here is showing me the distribution, as I said, of gender of respondent conditional on the dog breed. If I want to show it conditional on gender, I simply change that to say columns are outermost. Now I get this graph. Okay, so this one right here. The blocks are done now according to male and female. This represents percent. And each of these blocks collectively, if I take this, 21% plus the 14% plus the 17%, etc., this whole block of bars adds up to 100%. So I'm looking at the population of females who preferred particular dog breeds, and here collectively I'm looking at the percentage of males. Again, I probably want to highlight these and color them according to breed of dog. And again, I don't need to have that because it's showing to me down here on my x-axis. And I'd stick a title on this. Alright, so that's using the bar graphs. If I want to use pie charts, notice that there's nothing down here that says I can switch from columns or outermost and rows or outermost. Therefore, if I want to display the pie charts from the perspective of one variable or the other, I need to have my tables arranged differently. Alright, now we have chart values from a table, and I'm going to look at the table over here on the left. And what's my categorical variable? It's dog breed. What are my numbers? My numbers are in male and female. I say OK to this. And what this thing is really displaying for me now is, whoops, I got to do this again. Hang on. Let's go back because we're going to want to put labels on here. So slice labels, we're probably going to want to see the category name and the percent. Say OK. Alright, so here I have it, and again I don't really need to have this. And this chart is showing me the distribution of dog breed conditional on gender of respondent. So I have a pie in which the totals add up to 100% just for the females, and another pie where it adds up to 100% for the males. If I want to do it from the perspective of the dog breeds, let's go back in here again. And this time I would use the second table that I have. And the second table, which runs from C6 over to C12, my categorical variable is now in a column I call gender, and my summary values or variables are all these columns that include the dog breeds. And again, I'd say OK to this. And here I have it now from the perspective of each dog breed. So Yorkshire Terriers, that's considered a population. I get my percentages of males and females, and the same thing with all the other breeds. Okay, and the other thing which I forgot to do is the marginal distribution. So when you look at marginal distributions, you just want to look at one variable or the other. If I go back into my, I don't know, bar chart, and I have values from a table, to use the marginals, I could just use one column of values, say OK to this. And if I use this first table over here, I would do this according to the totals. And the totals are representing the totals of male and female for each dog breed. Chart options, I want to show Y as a percent. Say OK and OK. And this chart now says percent of total, and if I add up all these bars, I will get 100% of all the dog breeds. And this is showing me the distribution without regard to gender. It's just dog breed preference. And if I was to go back in and do this one again, this time I would use, over here in column C14, I got respondents. Okay, my respondents, hang on now, I just got to move something out of the way. Let's get that out of the way. Alright, I got respondents there, and I've got gender right here. So if I want to do the marginal distribution according to gender, this time I'm going to choose that column I just called respondents. That's where my numbers are. And the categorical variable is in the column C6 I called gender. Say OK to that. And I get a chart that just shows me two bars, one for males, one for females, and collectively they give me the 100%. So that's showing the marginal distribution. Okay, enough of that.